It's lights out and away we go. Hello, everyone. Hello, racers. Welcome to episode 2 of the Hard or Soft Formula One podcast. My name is Adrian Huff. I'm your host, and I'm joined as always by my co-host and producer, RJ McCullough. How's it going, RJ?
Good, man. Good to catch up with you again. Anything interesting you get up to this weekend?
But besides the mini golf that I sent you, not really. Just been kind of, besides work, just been kind of sitting at home and relaxing, pretty much trying to enjoy my time before I go to Boston this weekend.
Oh yeah, that's exciting. What are you doing in Boston?
So we're going for it's a birthday trip for my friend. His birthday is Monday, I believe. But yeah, we're heading out on Friday. Just a couple of us. We got like a Airbnb. I forget the name. I think it's in like Rockport. So we're staying like right outside of Boston, but we're going to spend most of our time up there and head up to Maine and stuff. It's going to be dope.
That's exciting. I was jealous when you sent me the video of you mini putting because I'm a big golfer, but it's too cold here right now. So I was jealous of the sunshine you guys had there.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. It's so nice.
Yeah. This weekend though, I went to first comedy show. Everything's been closed for the last 2 years. So everything finally reopened. So I went to a comedy show for the first time in at least 2 years. It was Andrew Schultz. He's actually my favorite comedian. So it
my gosh,
unbelievable. He absolutely killed it. Like just start to finish, like no lulls, nothing, just absolutely killed it. So yeah, it was that was great. That was the highlight of my weekend.
Dude, yeah, that's sick. I love Andrew Schultz. That's really cool.
Yeah.
Was that awesome? So that was this past weekend?
Yeah, that was Saturday. I think he did 2 shows Friday, 2 shows Saturday. So I went to the late show on Saturday.
That's really cool. Actually, my sister's birthday was Sunday, but I got her and my girlfriend tickets to see Eliza Schlesinger. So they were at the Fox in Atlanta. So they also saw a comedy show on Saturday.
Oh, nice.
I was originally supposed to go, but I could only get 2 tickets. So I gave my ticket to my sister for her birthday. But yeah, they had a great time.
Yeah, no, that's cool. Well, shout out to your sister. Happy birthday.
Yes, I was. Yeah, that's a great reminder. Yes, wanted to just give a quick shout out to my sister. She turned 22 yesterday. She's actually she kind of helped me come up with the name for the podcast. She was like, she kind of had the whole like hard and soft like idea that was originally her idea. So yeah, and she's the only person that will watch the Formula One races with me. So yeah, shout out to her.
All right, awesome. I guess my shout out this week, I'm trying to think. All right, so I've been watching a lot of Lewis posts a lot of videos with his dog Roscoe.
Mm-hmm.
I also have a bulldog, so shout out to my dog Bogey and Roscoe because every video with Roscoe is just fantastic.
Yes, he's adorable, and you should, if you can, you could show Bogey at some point during the podcast so people can get a glimpse.
I might have to grab her at some point. What else before we get started? I forget what I saw. I saw one comment. Someone was talking about F1 and they said, for some reason it stuck with me. They said the thing about F1 drivers is they all look like they smell really nice. And I was thinking, like, which driver? Immediately Carlos Sainz sticks out to me as someone that would smell really nice.
Yes. Yeah. Him and Charles just scream like cologne, like advertisements, like cologne
Ferrari.
models. Yep.
Absolutely.
Could totally see them like Ferrari cologne, like absolutely could see that.
Yeah. And then one more thing, starting, I guess, next week. I mean, you can take the discussion over more of this, but you've been on a bit of a weight loss journey over the last, I don't know, however many months, but we're going to sort of do a weekly weigh-in and see how to keep you on your toes. So where did you start? Where are you now?
So yeah, actually, this has sort of been like a real long time thing. I originally lost around something like 50 pounds. That was right at the start of the pandemic. And of course, the pandemic, caused a lot of motivation to be lost. So that kind of slowed down. I haven't gained any weight back, thankfully, but yeah, I'm looking to get back into the groove of things. I'm already doing that. I don't have a scale yet, so I don't have like exact measurements, but as soon as I get back from my trip this next upcoming weekend, yeah, absolutely. And think we can try to find ways to like tie it into the race or whatever, maybe give me like goals or something, like if I don't hit like a certain milestone by the Grand Prix or something, then maybe I have to do something stupid or embarrassing. I don't know. But yeah, it's a great idea. I think it's going to be a lot of fun and it's going to help me lose weight, which is great.
Yeah, there we go. Well, congratulations on the initial 50 pounds. You said
Yeah,
that's not just nothing. So good for you.
I appreciate it. Yeah, still a long way to go, but yeah, it's great progress.
All right, so I guess we'll get right into the biggest, I guess, topic: Mazepin. Mazepin
Yes.
out. Mazepin is officially. I'm just gonna read the got the statement right here from Haas. It reads: Haas F1 team has elected to terminate with immediate effect the title partnership of Ural and the driver contract of Nikita Mazepin. As with the rest of the Formula One community, the team is shocked and saddened by the invasion of Ukraine and wishes for a swift and peaceful end to the conflict. So with that, the short and not so glamorous tenure of Nikita Mazepin as an F1 driver has ended. Before we get into the replacement, any thoughts as we say goodbye to the one of the worst drivers in F1 recent F1 history, Nikita Mazepin?
Yeah, it's hard to not like totally feel bad for him, but at the same time, he's not a good driver at all. There was like the whole thing on Reddit where people were saying that he had more spins than race starts, which is just insane. Which there, to his credit, their car last year was like complete garbage. Even Mick, he spun out a lot of times as well, not as many times, of course, but it's definitely unfortunate. But if he had deserved the seat, it definitely would have been a lot more like sad, I guess. But I don't necessarily feel. It's hard to say that I don't feel bad because I can't imagine having that like taken away from you, whether he got there fairly or not. But it's crazy. Do you want me to read his statement that he actually put out?
Yeah, sure.
Yes. So on March 5th, so we're recording this on March 7th, so 2 days ago, he tweeted, "Dear fans and followers, I'm very disappointed to hear that my F1 contract has been terminated. While I understand the difficulties, the ruling from the FIA, plus my ongoing willingness to accept the condition proposed in order to continue, were completely ignored, and no process was followed in this unilateral step. To those who have tried to understand, my eternal thanks. I have treasured my time in F1 and genuinely hope that we can all be together again in better times. I will have more to say in the coming days, Nikita." And he also said that he's going to be hosting some sort of press conference, I think in Moscow.
Okay.
But I think I think he's just planning on like discussing, like basically getting his feelings out and maybe talking about like what his plans are for the future.
Right.
But I mean, I totally understand. It would be a PR nightmare for Haas to keep him, because just from like the reports and everything that are coming out, it just didn't seem that he understood the severity of like what's going on. And even if he was just sort of like not necessarily like condemning it, but even just being like, like why does that, or being even just saying like, why do we have to bring politics into racing when, it's just so much more than politics. But yeah, it's it's interesting. Poor Haas. They've just been going through it this week.
They've had a very tough couple of weeks, really. Do you know what's going to happen with other Russian drivers? Like Robert Schwartzman is in, I don't know if he's still in F2, but there's other like Russian drivers, obviously. And I would feel bad. It's like you said, it's kind of harder to feel bad for Nikita because you can make the argument he didn't really belong. But with other drivers, I'm curious to see what they'll do in like other series of racing. I'm not sure yet what the deal is with that.
Yeah, I think it's all still up in the air because oh gosh, I don't know how his name's Daniel Kvyat. Is that how you say his name?
Something like that, yeah.
I think something that or the official like ruling is that if you are a Russian driver, you can't race under the Russian flag, and you basically have to condemn the war. I think is just like the common consensus. But it seems, and I think I also read something about them having to like sign some sort of document, but it seems that Daniel has been a little bit of an aggressor against that. So his future is in racing is a little uncertain. But as far as Schwartzman goes, it shouldn't be a problem. I think he should still be able to race as long as like his big sponsor doesn't get dropped like Nikita's.
Right.
But it's definitely unfortunate. But it's one of those things where you can also kind of understand.
Absolutely. Yeah, for sure. So in terms of replacement, it's still a little bit up in the air. Haas has said that Pietro Fittipaldi, Brazilian driver, he's going to be in for at least Bahrain and the testing in Bahrain. He's been the team's reserve driver since 2019. And he took the place of Romain Grosjean for the final 2 races of 2020 after his accident in Bahrain. So, and then his dad is basically an F1 legend. So it would be kind of cool to see. Will be kind of cool to see Mick and Pietro, 2 sons of former F1 legends, on the same team.
Yeah.
So yeah, if there's anything you want to mention on that, and then what do you think, or what would you like to see after the first maybe few races? Do you think they should replace him with someone else? Who would you like to see? You can go on that.
Oh gosh, I think it would be cool if he was able to at least be given a shot, because I think it would be a little bit unfair. Also, sorry if you hear my dog barking in the background, but I think it would be really cool for at least to give him a shot. Like, I know there's so much money involved, and he's been their reserve driver for, this will be his 3rd season. But if that's not the route they want to go, if they just want him to stay the reserve driver, then there's a ton of potential options. And there's sort of like 2 different schools of thought. You can have like the idea of, you want like former F1 drivers, guys that have already proven themselves that are no longer in the sport, or maybe they're reserve drivers for other teams like Giovinazzi. But you also could have, you could have somebody from Formula 2, someone who's proven themselves and who deserves a Formula 1 seat. I think if I could just pick like a personal choice, I think it would be really cool to see Giovinazzi have another shot. I know he's a reserve driver, or maybe he's just a testing driver, but he's with Ferrari. Besides him, I've seen Nico Hülkenberg thrown around a lot. I would love to see him get another shot. Kevin Magnussen too, I think could be cool. He's sort of come out and basically, he hasn't like totally like confirmed that like that's totally out of the question, but he pretty much was like, if I was ever going to come back to F1, I would want to come back to a good car, basically.
Fair.
But yeah, I think I would love to see Giovinazzi come back, honestly, because I feel like he did pretty good last season, relatively speaking, and it just seemed a little unfair for him to be sort of just tossed aside like he was.
Yeah, no, I agree. That's fair. But just before we're recording, excuse me, I was reading an article. Gene Haas had said, like, in his view, the potential replacements he sees as obviously Fittipaldi, Giovinazzi, Nico Hülkenberg, and Kevin Magnussen. So you were pretty much spot on with the guys you named.
That would be so cool.
I think it would be a guy that's deserving is obviously Oscar Piastri, winning F2, but he's already committed to, I believe it's Alpine, and he's already come out and said that it's not happening. So that's not going to happen. And then the guy we mentioned last week, Colton Herta, that would be kind of cool to see, but he's pretty much committed to Andretti if and when that happens. So yeah, so I think Giovinazzi we both would like to see him. What did you call him? Like Italian Jesus?
Yeah. I think that's sort of like his nickname on Reddit.
Yeah, he's got a nice set of locks on him, that guy. But it'd be good to see him back. Obviously Nico was a fan favorite when he was in, and then Kevin Magnussen, like you said, sort of got the short end of the stick. They were showing some old Haas cars in that time, and it was Grosjean and Magnussen. They had some pretty sweet cars. Like the gold and black one was, I thought it was really nice. But now it's
what was that? The Rich Energy sponsor? That whole
I think so. Yeah.
That poor team has just never not had like horrible drama like come down on them, especially in like the worst times.
I know, it's a shame. Hopefully it might take them a bit, but hopefully they can at least get some points this year. I think everyone would be happy to see that.
It may just be people like just trying to give them like the benefit of the doubt, but according to like some rumors, their car is actually looking pretty good this year, which is surprising. Like, especially when it comes to like the speed and the powertrain, it seems that they've actually got maybe not necessarily a front running car, but maybe a car that's not going to be in P19 and P20 every single week, which I think is great to hear, honestly, because it's almost as frustrating as Mercedes and Red Bull being up front at every single weekend. It's just as frustrating, seeing like Williams and Haas just in the very back every single week. So hopefully that's the case. It could be the exact opposite and they could just stay where they're at, but we'll see.
Yeah, no, it should be very interesting. And they're like have ties with Ferrari, so I guess from what I've read, they're getting a lot more support from Ferrari, and there's like a cap on amount of workers, the amount of money they're allowed to spend now. So Ferrari sent some of their extra people over to Haas, so that could benefit Giovinazzi getting that seat. But
Yeah.
hopefully that'll improve their car, because everyone is also saying Ferrari's looking really good. So just to put a bow on the Russia stuff, they have also the FIA has also come out and said that they're no longer considering, not only this year but in the future, doing any Russian Grand Prix. I believe they were building a new track to replace Sochi, but I don't know what's going to happen. Maybe when the war is over, who knows what could happen in the future. But as of right now, there's no more Russian Grand Prix. And they also announced, whether it's coincidence or tied in, that Imola is going to be on the calendar through at least 2025. So I don't know if they're just going to put that in the slot there, or if it's just a coincidence and they were going to announce that either way. But
yeah, I wish I had looked at the original race schedule that they posted a couple of months ago. Was Imola originally on that?
I'm not sure, to be honest. I think it was. Like, I think it was already supposed to be on the calendar for at least this year, but I could be wrong again on that. So
right. That's cool that they're at least staying for another like 3 or 4 seasons, because that's a great track. And you know, the horrible tragedy that's happening with Russia and Ukraine right now aside, I don't really care for the Russian GP. I don't really like that track very much.
Right.
I did like, or the Sochi GP this last season was super interesting, but like especially like on F1 2021, it's just so boring.
Yeah, it's just like not even like real turns. It's just kind of like slight turns over and over. Can't really get full speed. But yeah, this year was probably the best one. But I think Mercedes has won every single Russian Grand Prix. And like, as much as I'm a Mercedes fan, nobody wants to see that. You want to at least think there's a chance that someone else is gonna take it. So that's sort of a welcome change, I think, for everyone. Imola is a classic track. So and then on Haas as well, you mentioned, well, we kind of alluded to that they've had a tough week. You sent me something about the issues arriving in Bahrain. Did you want to talk about that?
Yeah, I don't know the full situation, but they are stuck in, gosh, I forget the name of the actual country that they're stuck in. And actually might be where they did the testing this past. That could be incorrect. So someone may have to fact check me on that, but wherever they're at, they are stuck. Their plane broke down, but according to them, they are going to be able to make it to testing in time. They've got another plane, but it's still just the cherry on top of like the shit pile that they're like having to deal with, which it's just classic Haas. Like they've made that name for themselves. Like they're going to have problems. That's just what's going to happen.
Yeah. It's when it rains, it pours, and Netflix already has a good start to their next season. So
yeah, dude. Yeah. I hope they're like at least covering this crap, because there's already so much. Like get that interview with Mazepin, like go ahead and get it in the bank for next season. Cause it'll be, I want to know his thoughts. Like it, you know, it's hard to, there's no way he can be like super like okay with the decision, but at the same time, is he so delusional that he doesn't like completely understand? Like, does he think he deserves that seat without the sponsor? You know, those are just like the little thoughts that I would be really interested to know, like, and pick his brain and just figure out what he's thinking.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, he was posting pictures of him this past week from in the past with Vladimir Putin and stuff. So I don't know if him speaking would be the best thing, or if they would allow that. But I think we all would like to hear it, and especially like the fact that it's a year removed. Maybe tensions will be a little lower. So at some point they could get his thoughts on it. But that'll be something to watch as well. And then your guy Max, Mr. Verstappen, signed a massive contract.
Yeah.
I'll let you talk on that in a sec. But I did the conversion. It was like 40 million pounds per year, which is $52.4 million a year, or up here in Canada, $67 million per year. That's a lot of money. I mean, they are risking their lives, putting their lives on the line every week. But yeah, that's a lot of money, and I believe it's through 2028.
Yes. I read that I believe Jensen Button, I think by the end of 2028 Max is going to be 31.
Okay.
And I can't remember the exact name, but they were just listing, like, I just saw like a list of all these drivers that like hadn't even gotten to Formula One by the time they were 31, and they were like waiting for their shot. So just the fact that he's going to have over 300 Grand Prix starts is really it's insane. Like, he's sort of like the golden the golden child, I guess you could say. Yeah, the golden goose. Yeah, but that is just like an insane amount of money. And I guess that's, I mean, he could, I guess he can just kind of ask for that, or not even ask for that, sort of demand that, just be like, look, world champion, if you guys want to keep me, you're going to have to pay up. And I just think it's a little insane that he's making more than Lewis Hamilton, but you know, power to him. If Red Bull's willing to pay him that, then get that bag, bro.
Yeah, because no doubt that, I mean, Mercedes or Ferrari or someone would have come, and they probably still will come trying to get him at some point. But yeah, good for Red Bull, I guess. That's good to lock him down. But yeah, on the point of how many races he's already done, like I saw on Reddit, someone was trying to make the point of how much better Verstappen is than Hamilton, and their argument was like, look at like their side-by-side stats of at the age of whatever 22 or whatever, and obviously Verstappen's stats trumped Lewis's because he's done so many more races by this time. Like, it's insane just to think that he could have another easily 10 years, probably easily maybe even 15 more years if he wants to in the sport. Like, he could shatter pretty much every record if he stays in a good car and Red Bull is able to compete. But it's a lot of money. But if you look at like the other highest paid athletes in sports, I guess like Ronaldo, LeBron, like he's making slightly more than them, but they're not putting their lives on the line. And also the F1 season is so long and so grueling. And I know people think it's just sitting in a car, but I mean, if you even just watch any onboard, you see how much they're bobbling and like just how hot it is. And I mean, there's a million factors, but yeah, it's I don't know if I can say it's deserved that someone would make that much money, but if anyone's going to do it, it's going to be him or Lewis. And I think that also pushes Lewis's money higher if he re-signs another contract. I don't know if he will, but yeah, sort of rambling on about that. But
yeah, Lewis is signed through this season and next season, or is it just this upcoming season?
I think it's a 2 years left, but I mean, I'm sure there's like an opt-out clause if he wants to retire.
Right. Yeah.
But who knows?
Yeah, I'm glad he's coming back though. It's going to be great to see. I know he's extremely pumped and he's motivated, obviously. So that's going to be extremely interesting. But yeah, like you said, it definitely seems like a little bit like of a ridiculous amount of money, but like when you compare it to, like you said, those other sports, it just kind of makes sense.
Yeah.
It's not really a question of like how much Formula One should pay. It's just like more of a question of like, do athletes deserve to make that much money? Which, you know, there's definitely an argument for that because they're the ones bringing in the fans. The people are paying to come watch them perform. So yeah, good for them. That's not even a life-changing amount of money. It's like an unfathomable amount of money. So yeah, have fun.
I mean, and you can bet that if Red Bull is paying him $50 million a year, they're making at least 100 million off of him. You know, they're not going to be paying him more than they're making. So that's what, if you want to argue that athletes are paid too much, then they're just getting a percentage of what the owners and stuff are making. So there's that side of it too. And then there was just not a serious story at all, but I just saw that there's a new F1 game coming out this summer. F1 Manager 2022. So there's been similar games to that, but the description is: launching this summer, blah, blah, blah. F1 Manager challenges you to play a pivotal role in the paddock of the world's most exhilarating motorsport. Become the team principal of any of the 10 teams. Compete on the official circuits over multiple years. Hire real world drivers and engineers. Expand your HQ and build the next dominant force in F1. So it sounds like it's basically the F1 game without doing the driving, but there's a lot more. So basically you can be like Toto Wolff or Christian Horner. Do that aspect of it, which, I mean, I'll give it a try.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah. There's the I don't know if the mobile game, it's called F1 Clash.
Yeah. I played.
That's
There's another one like another something manager. Like, anyways, but yeah, I've tried similar games and they're fun. So
yeah, for sure. I'm interested if it'll be like a console game or a PC game or a mobile game, but I'll absolutely do that. I love the idea of like managing your own team and hiring drivers, and just it's definitely it's going to help you get like more of an insight into the behind the scenes of Formula One too. I thought it was going to be like an add-on to next year's Formula One game, but it looks like it's going to be its own standalone game.
yeah, and I'm just reading a little further down. It says you can do like simulated races, so you can still, and the graphics are obviously going to be unreal. So you'll get to see like cool angles of it all, and maybe control the pit stops and all that. So that
That's so
sounds pretty
cool.
cool. What else we got? That's pretty much it on that. I mean, I guess, yeah, like you said, though, it will release around the same time as the actual F1 game, so we'll have some choices to make with our money.
Yeah. What do you think about the changes they've made, or the changes that they've announced for the next Formula One game? There's no story mode, and it seems that they're adding different supercars like that are not Formula One. Do you think they're trying to be more like Forza or Gran Turismo, or do you think it's just sort of just trying to expand their audience basically? So if someone's more interested in like the supercar aspect, then that'll maybe entice them to buy the game.
Yeah, I don't know, maybe a bit of both. I think like EA Sports, I guess, is working with Codemasters or whatever it is for next year's game. So a lot of people are worried that they're just doing this so they can charge more money on in-game purchases and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Like personally, the idea of like supercars doesn't really interest me for F1. And I think people are worried that they're going to kind of lessen the technical aspects of what makes F1 unique to cater to the supercars and stuff like that. And then story mode, like, it hasn't been very good, so I'm not too upset about that.
Yeah.
And I saw they're putting in some others, like something like a career mode, but it's a little bit different. I'm not exactly sure. Don't remember the details of that, but I don't know. I guess it remains to be seen. A lot of people are sort of down on the idea of EA Sports getting involved because what have they done with like Madden and FIFA
Yep.
and NHL and stuff? It's kind of gone downhill over the years. So yeah, I guess it remains to be seen. What do you think about it?
Yeah, I pretty much have the same school of thought as you. I hope that they don't just kind of go the microtransaction route, that's the only reason that EA is getting involved. I hope that they give them more of like a team, more developers, just to make it more, just to, because I would love if like if Formula One games could look like Forza, because like the graphics in those games are just amazing, but at the same time keeping the same style and the same tone and just the same like overall feel that these Formula One games have had over all the years, and they don't lose the technical aspect. And it's okay to cater to more casual fans, but at the same time, let's not oust the fans that have been playing these games for over a decade now at this point.
Yeah, no, absolutely, I agree. So yeah, moving on. Another topic. I just saw that there's a Michael Schumacher car from 1998 Luxembourg Grand Prix, and it's for sale. What would you guess? Well, I thought he wasn't with Ferrari. Yeah, it's a red Ferrari car. How much do you guess the price tag is currently?
It's a Formula One car.
Yeah, from 1998, 99. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Oh my God.
So it's a Ferrari.
That's so hard because like in the back of my head, I'm like, I have a number, but like I feel like it's way too high. I'm driven by Michael Schumacher, a Ferrari. I would at least say a couple mil, like maybe 2 million.
Yeah, right now it's 4.9 million.
Wow.
But the last two that sold went for 6.6 million and 7.5 million.
Oh my God.
Like, what is someone going to do with that? Like, I guess rich people, they can put it up. I don't know.
Yeah, it's sad. It's probably going to just sit in a garage because I would want to drive that. I would want to drive that car so bad, dude. Oh my God.
Yeah, that'd be nuts.
I mean, you'd have to hire somebody to like maintain that car though, because those cars just wear down. Like if you did like 30 laps, like you'd be like, all right, how do I change a gearbox?
Yeah, exactly. You'd have to hire, like, the upkeep on it would cost you an insane amount of money. But if you have enough to afford the car, then who knows? I guess it would be cool to see like a race enthusiast that did some sort of like amateur racing, buy it and put it in some sort of, when they do like those things at like Silverstone every year, It'd
Mhm.
be cool to see. Like, it's cool to see it at least still make the rounds, you know?
Yeah, some dude rolls in with Michael Schumacher's car. That would be like the most
Yeah,
badass move ever.
yeah. Or like if Mick Schumacher buys it.
Oh my god. I mean, that would be cool. But
Mhm.
at the same time, if I was him, I would be like, that's my dad's car. I should just get it.
I was gonna say he also probably doesn't need to. He probably has multiple already.
Yeah.
So, um, and then Drive to Survive coming out very shortly, a couple days now.
Yes.
I was gonna go through. So they released the episode sort of summaries. I was
Yep.
gonna go through and read them all, but I feel like that's probably not the most exciting thing to listen to. But there's 10 episodes. The first 8 have been released to like the media, so they don't even necessarily know what's going to happen in the last 2, but it's assumed that it'll be Abu Dhabi and all of that.
Oh yeah.
But yeah, just scrolling through, it looks like they're going to focus. Obviously, they're going to talk about Daniel Ricciardo and McLaren and
Yep. There's
Monza and
there's 2 episodes devoted to McLaren, right? If I'm not
yeah,
mistaken.
it looks like that. And then just looking here, so they've got Silverstone, and then the incident there with Lewis and Max says there's a
Yep.
lot from that incident. There's a Haas episode,
Of course.
of course. Yeah, another McLaren. Williams, all of their kind of drama, some of the ups and downs, and then George getting the podium. I assume they'll show like the move to Mercedes part of that too. They got AlphaTauri, Yuki Tsunoda, Toto Wolff, Lewis Hamilton, and then 9 and 10. So yeah, it looks like we're going to cover most. I mean, I'm sure there's articles that are going to cover what they didn't talk about, but
Yeah.
anything you're specifically like really looking forward to seeing or hoping they do cover, other than obviously the finale?
Yeah. Besides like what they've listed, I'm really interested to see them cover Hungary when Esteban won. I think that's going to be really, really cool. But also because I specifically remember like the day after he won the Grand Prix, he posted like that he was interviewing for Drive to Survive with Netflix.
Oh, right.
But I also want to see Vettel's like his thoughts and reactions to him getting disqualified. You know, like I would love to see like the the moment reaction where they got the news that he was disqualified. Like they had to have just been totally gut wrenching for him. So
Yeah.
as unfortunate as that was, I just would love to see it.
Yeah. What was it? It was like something with they didn't have enough gas left in the car afterwards to test or something like that. And they kept saying they did, but they didn't.
Yeah, there's something like there's so many like little rules that like just the majority of like fans, including myself, don't even know about. Like apparently you have to have a certain amount of fuel left in the car to test, so you're not like potentially pumping like some sort of like heightened or I can't even think of the word, but just like a type of fuel that would like help boost the car and give you an unfair advantage.
Yeah.
But at the same time, like this is just me. I don't know if this is just me being a dumb fan, but I know there's been times where other racers have won, but then they've like ran out of fuel and they've just had to pull off, which is exactly what Vettel did. So maybe in that instance, like maybe they had some kind of like protocol where if it hit that level, the car just shuts down to risk,
like reserve fuel.
Yeah, something. Exactly. So they don't risk the disqualification, and maybe Aston Martin didn't do that. But yeah, that's the moment that I've just been in the back of my mind, like really excited to see them cover, because that was like one Grand Prix that just like felt so different from the other ones.
Yeah, no, that was insane. I was gonna say something else on that, but anyways, yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing, and I'm sure they will because there's 2 episodes on McLaren. I forget exactly which race it was, but when Lando was leading right to the end, and then it started raining with like 2 laps left, and there was the debate with the pit crew whether he was gonna pit or not and change his tires, and then he wanted to stay out. They let him stay out, and then he spun out, and Lewis, I believe, won. But sort of, I mean, he was obviously gutted after, but just to see more of the behind the scenes of that, I think would be really interesting.
Yeah, that was the Russian Grand Prix, I think, if I'm not mistaken. I wonder if he's I wonder if he's like excited, or if he's like happy that they're not going back there, or if he's a little like just crushed that he's not going to be able to get redemption at that track.
Yeah, no, it was an interesting moment. I mean, afterwards, you even saw like other drivers coming up to him and just like, oh, damn, like it's gonna happen. You'll get that win. Yeah, I think you will this year.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I saw a video of a guy that was doing like predictions, and his prediction was that Charles Leclerc is gonna be the champion driver this year. And that'll be, I could see that happening, but I mean, we'll
I
see.
definitely
He's got
could.
a lot of work to do, but we'll see.
Yeah, absolutely. But I mean, Carlos was had more points than him last season. So if Ferrari is the number one car this year, I think seeing the two of them battle it out is going to be like such a refreshing new like view for Formula One, honestly.
Yeah, and to see that, like, I mean, at this point, it seems like they are good friends. They get along very well. But to see what happens if they are in a battle for a title, and neither of them have been in that battle, really. I mean, they've been maybe through like half a season a few years ago with Charles, but not really. So, yeah, that'll be something interesting to watch all year. And then, yeah, this week, obviously, Mark's. Sorry, is there anything else you wanted to touch on with that, or do you want to move on to Bahrain?
No, yeah, we can definitely move on to Bahrain. So excited for this.
Yes. So just briefly, it's the second preseason testing. Official preseason test begins March 10th, ends on March 12th. Each day is divided into 2 sessions of 4 hours each, and teams will try to divide their 3 days. Blah 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 blah. So yeah, 2 days, 2 sessions, 4 hours each. Sorry, I'm muddling my way through this. March 10th to March 12th. So end of this week. That'll be really interesting. There's a lot of differences we're going to see, and we're really going to start to see which cars are actually the head of the pack.
Yeah, and we're going to actually get to see broadcasts because they decided not to broadcast this first season. So we're going to get to see real coverage rather than just like iPhone footage and just rumors from like reporters. Basically, we don't have to take their word. Basically, we get to see for ourselves what's going on, and that'll give us a better idea of the season. And I think it'll let us get a more accurate prediction, basically, of what's going to happen.
Yeah, no, I'm really excited to actually be able to sit down and lock in and just watch the cars go around and hear that sound again. And I was just seeing now that they're showing, like, be careful again what you take away from these testings, because last year at the end of testing day 3, Max Verstappen was leading, which obviously that ended up how it was, but second was Yuki Tsunoda. So yeah, and then Carlos Sainz, fair, and then Kimi Räikkönen, and then Lewis Hamilton. So like, yeah, and I mean Valtteri was 16th.
Oh my god!
So like, you can only take away so much. It's gonna be like when the good drivers do well, it's gonna be like, oh yeah, that makes sense. But there's gonna be a few that are gonna surprise us. Like maybe one of the Haas guys does well, and then it's like, oh wow. But we're still gonna have to take it with a grain of salt. But regardless, not to put a damper on it, it is gonna be very exciting. We're gonna see, this year is different because there's so much variance in the cars, it seems like, and there's already rumors that Mercedes is bringing a big upgrade to Bahrain. So it wouldn't really surprise anyone that they kind of sandbagged the first testing. But yeah, what are you most looking forward to seeing?
I'm interested to see how the speed traps compared to last or 2 weeks ago, because I know there's probably going to be some wild differences. But I mean, I think Nikita had like one of the fastest speed traps, and that just goes to show that like just power and speed isn't everything. Because if I'm not mistaken, I'm pretty sure Kimi Räikkönen had like the most or the highest speed traps over the entire season. Wow. But yet I don't think he got more than like 2 or 3 points the entire like of his last season, which is unfortunate. But that's going to be really cool to see. I would love to see like how different the cars are going to look, because I know like there's been some rumors that like Mercedes is going to adopt the way the fins work in the Ferrari, potentially, that they've been just kind of hiding the way their body works. But yeah, I'm so excited. I know I'm going to be out of town, but like I'm going to be just glued to my phone while that's going on, because I'm just so excited. I cannot wait.
Yeah, no, me too. Especially just to see, I want to see if Ferrari is able to keep up what they started. And then McLaren, Danny's been talking a lot about how they pretty much aced the first test. So we'll see if that's kind of where they top out, or if they're still going to keep developing. And then obviously goes without saying, but everyone wants to see how Lewis and Max are doing as well. So there's a lot up and down. And then, I mean, you could look at any team and come up with 4 or 5 storylines. So there's so much to watch, and we're going to be recording. We're on a bit of a different recording schedule this week, so we're going to be jumping right into that. Is that the 10th? Yeah. So on Thursday, right when they start, we'll be able to discuss it. So we'll have
Yes,
a bit of a insight into how things are going off the bat. But um,
absolutely.
yeah, I mean, is there anything else that you wanted to touch on this week before we get out of
I
here?
did notice that they announced, I don't know if it was like an official FIA announcement, but they're very slightly raising the weight limit for the cars.
Okay.
Because I think it had to do with Alfa Romeo, something with their floor. They're just like, it was just basically disintegrating like while they were
Oh,
riding because of the porpoising. But
okay.
I think it went from, I think it was 800 kilograms or no.
Okay. I'm not exactly sure on the number now.
I don't know those measurements because I'm
Yeah, that
American and they teach us these stupid measurements, but it got raised by 4 basically. So
okay.
800 to 804. So it doesn't seem like that big of an issue, but I read the weights of the testing last week, and Red Bull is actually the only one that's over by more than 1. I think Ferrari was like 801. Like certain teams like Alfa Romeo and Alpine were at like 799, but Red Bull's at like 806. So
Okay. Well,
we'll have to see if they're able to like bring that down. I know Christian has been vying for like to raise the weight limit because I guess they're happy with the way their car is right now and they don't want to have to take anything out. But I mean, that's what the rules are. You know, they got to comply with that. But it's going to be really, really cool to see like the different upgrades that these cars are going to bring and be able to compare last week. And also, like you said, last year, you know, the testing, Yuki Tsunoda was like the talk of the testing. They were saying that AlphaTauri was going to be able to fight for potentially a championship or at least podiums regularly. And unfortunately, that didn't happen. So I wonder if there's going to be any like similar storylines, I guess you could say, or similar endings to these drivers' seasons like Yuki last year. So we'll
yeah.
see.
Yeah. It's just funny that Red Bull is the one team because, of course, the behind the scenes negotiating begins already with Christian Horner.
Yep.
So yeah, another thing to keep watch of. But
Mm-hmm.
yeah, I think that's about it for this week. Definitely, we've been posting lots of clips on YouTube, Twitter, Instagram.
Yep.
So definitely check that out. You can just search Harder Soft Podcast on pretty much everything. It'll come up.
Yep.
Let us subscribe, give us some feedback, like the videos, all of that stuff that everyone else is always
Yep.
saying on their YouTube videos. So yeah, thanks for listening. Yeah, send us off.
Yeah, absolutely. Like you said, just check out the socials. You know, we're gonna, like we said, we're gonna keep posting this podcast at least once a week. If anything comes up, we can always record sort of an impromptu short podcast if we absolutely have to. But just get rate us 5 stars, do whatever you can. You know, we're still in the very beginning stages, and we're gonna keep saying this for the first couple of weeks. It's gonna take us at least through the season to like get into the grind of it. And of course, our viewership's just going to keep rising, especially once the season starts. And, you know, we're doing this podcast basically almost for free. Basically, you know, we're putting very little money into this. So once we start getting more into the swing of things and we have a lot more content to put out there, definitely going to start pushing the whole marketing and publishing. So if you are one of the few listeners that we have right now, thank you so much for listening. Do whatever you can to help us promote this podcast. But yeah, we'll see you next week. Thank you all so much for watching. And yeah, we'll see you next time.